It feels kind of like, as a nation, we're at the brink of a hot civil war with no way to rein it in, doesn't it? And there's been a lot of commentary on this. There's been blame casting and finger pointing, and of course the obligatory pontification about where do we go from here? I read an article in Christianity Today that drew the conclusion that out of all of this, the things we've learned are that character matters, elections have consequences, and so do conspiracy theories. You know what? That sounds like it should be true. The problem is it's not. We've proven for several generations that the character of elected officials doesn't matter as long as they do a good job. We've also demonstrated that elections only have consequences for some people and only until the next election. Even still, after any election, the losing side can simply proclaim themselves to be the loyal opposition or say, "Not my president," and that's completely okay. As far as conspiracy theories, there's a reason they're going to continue. Bay of Pigs, Vietnam, Watergate, Iran-Contra, Whitewater, 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, Enron, Fast and Furious. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Benghazi, Russian collusion, Ukraine gas companies, and now, of course, rampant voter fraud. You see, the past is prologue. After decades of corporate and government deception and dirty tricks, the American people have come to the conclusion that any conspiracy is at least plausible. But those are just symptoms of a much bigger issue. Underneath all of that, girding all of that up, is our society's cult-like adherence to relativism. Relativism is the philosophical view that knowledge, truth, and morality are not absolute. Relativism, of course, forces the conclusion that your morals aren't my morals. Your truth isn't my truth, and your facts aren't my facts. Now, in theory, relativism is supposed to encourage us to be more tolerant of others. But when put into actual practice, the end result of relativism, well, is epistemological chaos. Let me give you some examples. See these guys? They're domestic terrorists. Well, unless they're patriots. And we don't want insurrectionists spouting off on social media, except it's okay for this insurrectionist to spout off on social media. Exterminating an innocent life, well, that's always wrong. Unless, of course, it's this innocent life, or this innocent life. You see the problem, right? This kind of relativism actually has another name. It's called hypocrisy. So, you realize I had to provide multiple examples, right? Some showing the hypocrisy of the left, and others showing the hypocrisy of the right. Because if I criticize just one or the other, half of you would label me the enemy, then you'd mock me, marginalize me, and ultimately tune me out entirely because, well, my facts aren't your facts. Now, what's interesting is that there's also a name for someone who is prejudiced against or antagonistic toward others based solely on the groups to which those others belong. That word is bigot. You see, hypocrisy and bigotry, that pretty much describes the all-consuming political climate that we're living through. And until we can agree on at least a common foundation of knowledge, truth, and morality, well, we'll simply continue to devolve further into our hypocrisy and bigotry until we ultimately tear ourselves apart. So the question now is, how do we fix this? Well, the first step is to admit that there's a problem and name the problem. Guess what? I just did that. We're a nation of hypocrites and bigots. Embrace that and accept it. Now we can move on to the second step. The second step is to believe that there is a power greater than ourselves who could restore us to sanity. And for that part, well, the ball's in your court.